It's time for some scary fun with everyone's favorite dancing demon, Bendy. Welcome back, my fellow gamers. This is Top 10 Gaming and I'm your host, Amanda McKnight. Today we'll be counting down our top 10 scary Bendy and the Ink Machine creepypastas. So dim the lights and beware, because it's about to get creepy up in here. Let's get storytelling. Number 10. Eyes That Follow. Has anyone else had this experience playing Bendy and the Ink Machine? I was playing one time and I swear the eyes on the cardboard cutouts of Bendy were moving and were following me. At first I thought this was just something weird that happened in game, until I noticed that when I got up to get a drink, the eyes continued to move and follow me, myself, not just the character in game, as I moved around my living room. I instantly became freaked out, especially as I had no VR equipment hooked up and not even my camera plugged in, so how could it have known where I was? I became too creeped out and haven't gone back since. So if this is just a weird game feature with tech that I don't understand, please let me know. Number 9. One with the ink. I sit on the page, staring outward. Does anyone know that in creating this drawing, I trapped myself? That I'm forever stuck on this single, otherwise blank page of paper? I didn't know about the ink. I didn't know that it would keep me trapped here. I cannot get off the page, but I can draw more. Is that what he wanted? A tethered artist unable to escape, only able to work endlessly forever? And what will happen when the page is full? Number 8. You Little Devil You. There is a famous animation studio that I used to work for. I can't say their name here because, well, I don't want to get sued, but I will say that you probably know them and they are beloved the world over. What you don't know about them is the characters and animations that they were never able to release to the public. There were works created by the studio for a line of cartoons that were intended originally for adults, but ended up being abandoned. Some say it's because they simply wanted to keep their market family friendly, but I know the truth. It's really because the people who worked on them back in the day were part of a cult, and hidden within the animations was subliminal messaging, meant to brainwash whoever watched it into joining them and becoming a sacrifice to the dark deities they worshipped. 2 people at the studio died as a result of seeing these cartoons, and after that they were locked away forever, never to be seen again. I almost experienced this coercion myself when I stumbled upon a little clip of an animation featuring a catchy song called You Little Devil You, where a little devil with pointed ears shaped like horns dances around almost hypnotically. Number 7. Fresh Ink. On her days off from school when her dad still had to work, Joanne would come with him. She loved coming to the studio. It always smelled like fresh ink and happiness there. Everyone smiled and she got to play with all the Bendy toys while her father worked. Joanne said hi to everyone, then decided to do some exploring before heading to their room filled with Bendy merchandise and toys, where she'd usually play. However, as she wandered, she noticed Bendy at the end of the hall, or a Bendy cutout at least, waving her over to come play. She rubbed her eyes. She couldn't believe it. Was this really happening? She ran after Bendy down and down deeper into the studio until she ended up in a dim-lit corridor. She couldn't see Bendy anymore, and when she went back to try and find her way out, she noticed every doorway was boarded up. She screamed for help, but the loud ink machine drowned out her screams. When the room was entered years later, the new owner of the building would notice a painting on the wall with a little girl dancing hand in hand with Bendy. The girl looked just like the one in the paper who had been reported missing years before. Number 6. Beside You. My friend Scott was playing Bendy in the Ink Machine and he complained about something really weird. Something I can hardly believe happened. I mean, I wouldn't believe it if he didn't manage to record it happening. While he was playing, there was a voice that he heard whispering in the background. He wasn't on Discord with anyone, and at first he just thought it was part of the game, until the voice started calling his name. It got really weird when he heard it coming from one specific side of his headphones, but when he moved around in the game he couldn't find the source of it. He turned his head to look around himself in the room, looking towards the side the voice was coming from through his headphones. He had the lights off, but apparently in the corner of the room he saw a large dark figure. Scott grabbed his phone, intending to shine a light on the shadow to see what it was, just as it began to charge towards him. But before it reached him, he flipped on his flashlight and it seemingly vanished. All the audio from the game was recorded and it sounds pretty disturbing. If you're thinking Scott is just messing with me, he didn't have a mic hooked up as he doesn't currently own a mic for his PC. Number 5. Alive. Joey's shrine was almost complete. He'd built it around a drawing he once found. It had slipped out of some unlucky artist's portfolio as he was running for the train. Joey thought the drawing had promise, style, something unique about it. It was a unique looking character with a mischievous grin. He brought it with him everywhere he went, and everywhere he went he found success. With each new accomplishment he gazed on the drawing, thinking of it as lucky, and it always seemed to wink back at him. The head of the animation studio, now his shrine to it was almost complete, with a drawing in a gilded frame on the wall of his office. Every now and then it asked something of him, whispering to him while he whistled and worked away. Today it only demanded something small in comparison to other prior requests. A sacrifice. And friends, before we move on to this next spot, if you are loving this list and if you want more creepypastas lists, who doesn't like more creepypastas, be sure to let us know by giving this video a thumbs up. Number 4. Bath time with Bendy. After a hard day of work, I always enjoy a nice long bath. I work outside doing manual labor, and the day had been hot and hard. I had been painting a house and was covered head to toe in paint. As I slipped into the warm, soapy water and sunk beneath the surface, I let out an audible sigh. Perfect, I thought. I let my face slip below the surface, submerging myself fully for a moment, but then I noticed with my eyelids shut the room seemed to get dark suddenly. I resurfaced and went to rub the water and soap from my eyes, opening them, but when I did it stung badly and I couldn't see. The water suddenly felt cold. How long had I been in the tub, I wondered. I stumbled out of the tub, still rubbing my eyes furiously, and went to the wall to flip the light switch, but the wall was covered in something wet, cold, and slippery. So was the floor, I noticed. Had the bathwater somehow flooded the bathroom? But the tap was off. Finally, I was able to open my eyes, though they still stung a bit. I blinked through the wispy darkness to see that the whole room was slick with black ink. Number 3. Stuck. Do you ever get that sense that you're not alone in a room when you know you are? Like a pair of eyes are following you no matter what, and you can't escape them no matter where you go? I do sometimes. Lately my pipes have been creaking something awful. I called a plumber to take a look, but they aren't supposed to come for another week. I just can't shake the feeling that something is wrong with this place. Whenever I turn off the tap, it's almost like I can still hear it running for a few seconds after I've closed it. What is that sound? Running water? A whisper? Today I decided to put my ear closer to the drain to try and see what it sounded like. Now I can't sleep because of it. All I heard was a little voice, I swear, coming up from the drain pipe. It whispered, "I'm stuck." Number 2. Love requires sacrifice. I stare at the inky reflection in the mirror. It is me and not me. It is a happier version of myself. I know that he will come and welcome me into his loving embrace, and I accept him into myself. I smile back at the inky being that blinks and grins. "Do you love me?" it asks. "I do," I respond back, hesitantly. It notices my hesitance. It doesn't like that. It frowns and the mirror begins to crack outwards, shards of it falling to the floor around me. "What will you give me?" I pick up a sharp mirror shard, squeezing it so tightly it cuts into my flesh. I hold it up to the mirror and then point it toward myself. I take a deep breath and respond with a dark calmness. "Everything." The eyes of the reflection shine brightly in the mirror as it begins to laugh with delight. Love requires sacrifice. Number 1. Hide and seek. Dee had an imaginary friend named Ben who loved to play hide and seek. One day the two of them were playing when Dee noticed that she couldn't find Ben anywhere in her house. A voice from outside seemed to call her. "Dee," it seemed to say, "come and find me. I'm out here." That was against the rules, Dee knew, but she also acknowledged that her friend, not being entirely real, meant that maybe rules didn't apply to them? Despite what she had been told by her parents, she went out the front door and followed Ben's voice. She could see their curved shape climbing up the drain pipe. Dee shouted, "I found you!" and followed after them. Before she knew it, she was up on the roof. Ben asked Dee, "Do you want to play forever? Do you want to become one?" And Dee, without thinking, nodded and smiled. "Then you have to catch me," Ben said, and he jumped. Dee followed him. They would be together forever and become known as the whimsical character Bendy, inspiring a child whose imaginary friend they became to one day draw them. Who is your favorite Bendy character? Which Bendy game scares you the most? Are you excited for Bendy and the Dark Revival? Let us know in the comments below. This has been Top 10 Gaming, and I am your host Amanda McKnight. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, keep on gaming on. Pew pew!